Hello and welcome to the first movie review with this is Alex and Ellis. So we all watch movies together, so I thought why not drag them onto camera and see if we can actually film it. So we're going to talk about Uncharted today. We went and saw that recently, and safe to say I think we're all feeling pretty similar about it.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of us had super high expectations.
No,
for
none of
video
us-
games.
Video game
lived up
movies-
to my
Yeah.
expectations.
So,
Did it?
so I've not played the games or watched anything, but I think
No, I haven't for a long
I've played
time.
Uncharted 4. I haven't played before that. I wanted to, but I haven't. And you've seen like YouTube videos.
I know
but
of it.
You're both
Yeah.
going in pretty much as just movie watchers instead of gamers,
Yeah.
which probably will help. So we'll do. So first, let's start with the acting because that was obviously.
Ooh.
yeah.
So Nathan Drake is played by Tom Holland, who I just don't see him as Nathan Drake.
No.
It's Peter Parker. He just doesn't change.
Even the opening scene, I literally turned over to the cinema and went Peter Parker
Yeah.
because the whole overly apologetic, kind of lovable, goofy main character, which you expect from Peter Parker, not from Nathan Drake.
Yeah, I agree. And Mark Wahlberg is just Mark Wahlberg
He's just
again.
Mark Wahlberg.
Like he's not anything
Nothing
different.
more, nothing less.
He doesn't have
Mark
Sully's
Wahlberg.
mustache or anything like that. He is literally just normal Mark Wahlberg. I said to you guys, I think he just took the role as like another role. Like he didn't do any research into the Uncharted franchise. I think Tom Holland said he always wanted to
Tom
play
Holland's a big fan.
Uncharted.
He came up with the
Yeah.
idea for the
Yeah.
film, didn't he?
Yeah, he did because he wanted to do James Bond, and they were like,
Right,
no, you're way too young.
Yeah,
So,
Mark. The thing is that Mark Wahlberg's like character. There could have been moments they could have shown some actual like diversity in the acting.
Yeah.
But he's just the same. all
The
way
same.
through.
I didn't think he was bad though.
He wasn't.
If
bad,
if you
but-
had expectations of his character, he would have been bad.
yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah, I think so. I can see a lot why Uncharted fans are just like, that's not Sully, and
Yeah,
that's not
100%.
Nathan Drake.
because even in when they do adaptations of games and stuff, they take some liberties, obviously, but it's usually in a more interesting way where they'll completely change the character. This just wasn't a character.
Yeah, I agree.
we didn't know anything about him, which obviously didn't help. But he just didn't show anything.
No.
He also, he was meant to be this kind of dashing rogue type character, but he was too nice
Yeah.
for the entire film.
Well, they even said that.
Yeah.
Chloe Fraser.
He wasn't scary. He wasn't
Yeah.
nice. He wasn't funny. It was kind of like, oh, I'm old.
Yeah.
They keep like, oh, my ankle can't run. Can I?
And he just, I mean, there's just scenes throughout the movie, and I'm like, he literally is just a normal, generic white dad.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing special
That's it.
about him at all. He's just Sully. And as you said, there's no character progression. I feel like the Sully at the start of the film is the same Sully at the end, and only just he likes Nate a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. I feel
Well,
like,
That's what you're saying. So obviously, like the main character, very acrobatic, clearly intelligent, can figure things out, and all the side characters almost they bring things to it. Sally brings nothing.
yeah.
I honestly didn't believe that he'd been on those adventures previously.
Right.
No,
right.
He didn't
because
look
he had
like, he
no
didn't look
idea
or
what he was
sound like
doing.
a man who knew what was going on.
And they were lecturing, Nathan on, you have to be on top form, wary of who's out to get you.
He must have been
Yeah, what have you
knocked
done,
over
mate?
like 4 times.
Literally, all they have to do is just outrun you a little bit. But you're out
Yeah.
there, like,
There's literally a scene, and I'm trying to do non-spoilers, but they're like doing this chase to get after someone, and Nathan and Sully meet up in the middle, and he's like, "Can you run any slower?" And he's like, "I've got a bad ankle, like I just can't run anymore." I'm like, "Then what are you doing hunting for gold, man?" He was very Gollum-esque in his like hunt for gold. I thought like he really wanted that
People
shit.
just said at the start, they said he likes gold and ran with it for the rest of the
That
film.
was his art.
What reason? No, he just
They were in
likes
the writing
gold.
room,
More
like,
than
blowing
anything
it.
else. It doesn't matter. It's gold.
Gold.
Diamonds, no
They
thanks.
watched that one Austin Powers scene and like, the whole film about it.
Mark
Um,
Wahlberg is gold member.
I love.
And I feel like, however, Chloe, I did quite like Chloe. She wasn't
yeah,
enough
she
to
was
save the
good.
film, but I feel like, interestingly, she was the only kind of lesser known actor. I thought.
Yeah.
And
I thought
she did it- I thought she was the
did
best.
enjoy the chemistry between her and Tom Holland.
Yeah, I thought so.
She needed a lot more screen time.
Yeah,
No, 100%.
I think so.
And
I think
obviously the film, when you take away the famous actors, it was very like archetypey for any kind of action adventure. The film started the same way as every other adventure film. There's obviously some legend that people don't think is true.
Yeah.
But they went through that quite quickly, probably because they know it's quite tropey, and she did very much fit that femme fatale kind of cold-blooded character.
Yeah.
I believed it.
But the chemistry was entertaining at least.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought she was probably the best performance in the show. I would say
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Holland's performance wasn't bad. I just don't think it fit.
Yeah.
Personally, I just didn't think it fit the movie.
Yeah.
If this was maybe just another adventure and it wasn't Uncharted, maybe, because you don't have people then saying you're supposed to be like Nathan.
Yeah,
Drake.
exactly. You're not comparing it.
Like, even though
Yeah.
you've heard of Nathan, as you said earlier, it's like a male Tomb Raider.
Yeah. You've seen clips, I've seen pictures. You kind of
Yeah.
know the gist. Even with one of the main villains, she's come from a very campy Netflix series, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and she is loved in that series, but kind of taking like a main spotlight in a film, they didn't really do anything with her at all.
I thought the villains were just awful.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Terribly
very forgettable.
underdeveloped.
I mean,
Yeah.
you had the two big lumpy fucking.
They were so funny.
The Scottish guy was was good.
That brought some comedy to it, but it's also like they're useless. As
Yeah.
Just make you think of the games, though. Think about it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a very
true,
common
yeah.
trope just to have these weird henchmen.
big grunts. That are
Yeah,
just
that's
sort of-
true.
yeah.
There'd be a boss fight in a game.
Yeah.
I
They would.
imagine.
But they have a character like her that constantly references previous chemistry with Sully, but we haven't seen it, so we know
Yeah,
nothing
no.
about her character.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't see it in the film.
I also, her any of the progression throughout the film, like you said, we have no basis for her character. So it's like, oh, okay, you've just done this film. I don't actually
Yeah.
understand why, or do I care?
Yeah, and I mean there was some revelations and some twists going on, or they tried to like twist and make revelations, and I just didn't care.
Well, yeah, we didn't understand nor have any attachment to any characters to care
Yeah.
about the danger they were in.
Anyone could have done with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I feel like all the characters just make stupid ass decisions throughout like the whole thing.
Yeah.
None of them are using like any common sense. Like Nathan Drake walked into a room, like a dark room where anyone could be there, and went, "Hello, hello, is anyone?" I was like, "Dude, what are you doing? This is like horror movie bad." And I think that just goes for a lot. And going on to the story, I think the story is pretty much the same.
the story was very much like a wild goose chase with no actual like. I guarantee you, right? If we sat down and wrote down this benign, crazy rush for gold, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. They've gone with the whole classical like adventure story, or there's some kind of like legend left behind, and you follow like the pieces of the puzzle, but the puzzle makes no fucking sense.
That's true.
How have we gone from a fucking church to a nightclub with some as above so below type horror shit, and then all of a sudden we're in another country? It's like,
not make film. Yeah.
God's not here.
What is that thing on your face?
I think they just tried to
Puberty's
do
right
as many
around the corner,
awkward-
kid. You can
well,
grow your
it
own.
did come across
Exclusively in movie
all these different
theaters.
places, and I was like,
They were not very good.
"Why are you doing this?" Like,
You would not tell me when we paid for those tickets that I'd be watching Mark Wahlberg fight a femme fatale in a Papa John's on the floor while they're fighting over a cross.
yeah.
And it was awful.
It was, yeah. It was one of the worst action
And
scenes
you
I've
could
seen in a
see,
long time.
right, even in the choreography, that the actual actor himself wasn't trying to hurt her because he was like really gentle.
One of the few things I thought kept in line with the games was the fact that every fight scene felt like a quick time event.
Yeah, it did.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't get out of my head. Just pause it and go, aha! Or he goes to reach for the cross and it's like, oh no, you missed the triangle button.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed the cross.
Also, they do everything in their power to not use guns.
At
Like
all.
they try so hard not to use any guns at all. It's just weird.
No, not the quantity compared to the game, but we're all saying we've seen small clips and stuff, and there's a lot of weapons, there's guns. It's not a particularly violent game, but it's a shooter. Right?
Yeah,
There's actual elements in it.
It's like Tomb Raider, and they use.
I just knew this was going to happen because for some reason they do not like having Tom Holland, by like a couple of films he's been in violent roles.
But not even like he didn't kill anyone.
He kicked some people off.
He kicked some people off a plane.
Yeah, he just
That's it. But even then, that was like, oh, did they?
And then after he did it, he was like, oh, that was just a reflex. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry for that. Oh my god. Yeah, no.
And it's just like we're expected to believe that they're in a life or death situation, and the guy's just like, oh, I'm not going to kill anyone.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know what we're gonna do here. It's
Like, I'm fighting against literal murderers who all they care about is like a pound coin. But I'm just going to fight around with no weapons on me.
No, they obviously like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, you have this weird tech and stuff to help you get through. the only tech that was in this was an earpiece
These
and a
ridiculous
tracker
earpieces.
app.
These ridiculous earpieces that had better signals than I think even NASA
Yeah.
could invent, working through the pits of hell for some reason.
Yeah. I was thinking when they were tracking his phone, I was
Yeah.
like, my GPS doesn't work if I go onto the bloody tube, let alone on the
Yeah, this
fucking...
generic GPS like app was just a plot twist for some reason. Oh, we know where
Now
people
you could
are.
track my location from wherever I am.
It was just and then so there was how many villains in the story? So there
Well,
was
you had obviously like a couple back and forth morally grey kind of characters because it's a very like everyone's out for themselves type thing. But I'd say two.
and just one of them it was Puss in Boots actors,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was quite literally.
And
when
when
you
he
speak-
spoke once, and I turned to you, and then I said,
Puss in
"That's
Boots.
Puss in Boots."
It was
How are we meant to take someone seriously that's just a spoiled rich kid
yeah.
who literally voice acted Puss in Boots?
It's just
And there was no variation in his tone. He
Not at
sounded
all.
exactly like he
Mm.
plays Puss in
Well,
Boots.
he was the archetype of many shows. You get a villain with a vaguely interesting accent, really play out the accent, and then give nothing else to the character.
That's
Yeah.
what makes them sinister.
They're rich and European.
yeah.
How
Also,
terrifying.
can we talk about his dad
Yeah.
and how relevant that was to the story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't go into it now fully, but we'll go into it in
No.
spoilers.
Right.
But yeah, we can definitely talk about
Spoiler it. It was
It-
just such a waste of a...
He didn't have any
Oh, boy.
motivation. Like I was
No.
just like, why are you looking for this guy? I want money. Okay.
The,
Fair enough.
his accomplice felt very much like a B-Tech kind of character from like Birds of Prey or something. Their whole character is just that they're very roguelike, but she didn't make sense to be anywhere.
yeah.
And nor do they explain, some of the later scenes how she would amass anything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
things just happen.
Things
and
just
characters
happen
just
to-
react to the things happening.
Well, me and you were saying throughout the film, we were like, how are they doing that? Magic.
Yeah, no, but
Magic.
consistently, because I'm like, how has this happened?
yeah.
And obviously with an action film, you do kind of suspend belief a little bit
Yeah,
just
yeah,
for the magic. But it was genuinely getting ridiculous
It
in some
was,
scenes
yeah.
to the point where things just scientifically weren't possible. And then they gave up right towards the end. They just gave
Yeah.
up.
They were just like, we need something.
To the point where we'll talk about this later. I turned around to Ewan during the film and made a joke about something ridiculous that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it happened on screen. I thought I actually can't make up anything more ridiculous.
We were, yeah. I know exactly what scene you're on about. And it was just like, why? I know you have a budget, but you don't need to do it like this. It was like, they were like, wow, we still have like 500 million
Yeah,
left to
because we did nothing in
spend.
the film but how people run around,
Like,
quippy little lines of dialogue, and then
and also the starting dialogue, you even leaned over to me and said it was fucking.
What were we,
atrocious.
10, 20 minutes in?
Yeah,
And I went,
oh.
this
between the
is-
child actors.
Well,
Because
between
that was all.
I actually waited until after that to mention
Yeah, I
it
thought
to
that
you,
was
but I thought
atrocious.
that was terrible.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Don't get me wrong. Most films have bad child actors, but
It wasn't.
it's like they're not even given any notes from the director, any pauses in between the
No,
dialogue, or any affliction on the words. There's nothing.
No,
It's
if
just,
you gave that script
it's
to
just,
a year
oh
10
my
drama
god,
class,
you're my brother. That's really sad.
you know I'll always be
love
with
you.
you.
Like, right.
and you know, like his mum was off the set going,
Oh, and they just like decided to put these characters in an orphanage and not
Yeah.
explain
Yeah.
anything,
No.
literally anything.
No.
yeah, they
So
did kind of. They were just like,
Are
well,
his- are
your
his-
parents-
are his parents
are
dead?
gone.
I think so in the movie, in the
The
game.
game,
Yeah.
right?
But they
Okay.
didn't. But I feel like they did a lot, and it was quite a common trend throughout the movie. They kept trying to explain things that they knew would come up in questions,
Yeah.
and they didn't do a reasonable explanation. It's like with the parents thing. They were like, he was like, I think my parents are lost, and he was like, no, they're gone.
They're,
Yeah.
they're gone. You don't
They are
ask any more
You
questions.
are an
Yeah.
orphan. Shut up. Sit on the bed.
But
I'll
also,
see you later.
yeah, but it's just like, could we know what happened to them? Because the fact that it's up for question,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just some debate going
His
on.
brother basically just said, wait for the sequel.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, his brother just turned around and went, "Well, we'll write this in later. Just
Yeah.
not now."
We'll think.
As long
of
as
it,
we don't
okay?
confirm or deny it,
Yeah, the
we
fans
can
can't
do
get
whatever we
angry.
want with it.
It does feel a bit like with these movies, any kind of video game movies, they want to make their own story
Mm.
and then fit in as much pandering as they can to keep the video game fans happy, but also appealing to a generic audience to the point where nothing of substance comes out.
No,
Yeah,
it
I-
was
I agree. Yeah,
fan
it was.
service.
It was just their attempt at like doing their own thing, and then, as you said, just fan service.
It
Like,
gave me very much like a film that I'd expect The Rock to be in, or
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Just Jungle Cruise type vibe, like,
and that's what I mean. Like, what makes the film worse is that there are expectations that come with a license name. Like, I know you haven't played the game, but you still had expectations of who Nathan Drake was. And for longtime fans of the game, they're going to be going in with a certain expectation. That's why video game movies tend to fail, like Assassin's Creed, Hitman 4. They try and do their own thing and just forget about the video games.
Yeah.
And that's why Hollywood just should not
You
do
have
video
to go
games.
one way or the other. You have to make something completely new,
Yeah.
or you have to.
Because the Uncharted games, they have a fair amount of story in them. Don't
Yeah,
they, right?
they're mostly like story games throughout, and they do follow this similar sort of like thing. But I think in a game it works because you're playing those sequences.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like you said, if they were QuickTime events, sure they'd be. You just sit there and be like, oh, this is a bit,
Don't get me wrong.
But you'd be like, oh well, and
Yeah.
then you'd have a gun and you'd be shooting your way through it, and that's what makes the game work. Whereas watching it just doesn't.
I think
for me,
they really try to transfer the feel of a video game story into a film.
Yeah. And it's just you can't do it. It's two different beasts.
Yeah.
But and the product placement in this film is
Oh,
you can tell where the half the budget came from.
Yeah, it was incredible.
With the
Was this a
night
Sony
box.
film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they love that.
Even
They
before an entire Papa John scene.
Yeah, before they
Was
even
it?
reference Papa John's.
With absolute
dialogue as
vodka
well.
on every shelf in a bar.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in bars, and we would recognise every single bottle in there.
Yeah.
From someone in England, even though when they're in foreign countries, somehow Absolute vodkas.
Yeah, it's all
they're
around the
drinking.
globe. It's everywhere.
And, they're naming all these different types of creative like drink names. I'm like, you're still using Absolute vodka.
Yeah.
Right.
It just
Papa John's the most common shop in Barcelona.
I feel like it's just everywhere. And also the fact that it was I can't say it right now, but I'll explain it. There's so much. But I think that's about all we can say, like, without spoiling it, because that's about what the film is. So we'll give our final ratings now for anyone who hasn't seen the film. Ellis, you go first.
I'm gonna have to give it a 6.
A 6.
Yeah.
Okay, that's higher than I thought you'd go, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because like it is mindless entertainment to a degree. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't bored.
Right. Okay.
Once, so
You see, I thought I was going to go higher than him, but I'm going to go 5.
Yeah. You see, I thought I was going to go higher than both of you.
50-50 because I got 5 points out of 10 worth of enjoyment out of it. But I'm not entirely sure that was because it was a good film.
yeah.
It might have been
Yeah,
because
100%.
it wasn't.
Yeah, no, it did
Yeah.
help, didn't it? Yeah, I did laugh a lot.
But there were things that I appreciated about it.
Yeah. I was umming and ahhing between a 5 and a 4, and I think I'm going to go with a 4. Because I think it is slightly below average for me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
Yeah.
it's because I played Uncharted 4, so I knew the expectations going in.
Mhm.
But also, I was laughing at, like, the action scenes. And, like, even, like, Jason Statham, the classic sort of action movies, I don't laugh at them. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
So on average,
Yeah.
it got 5 out of 10.
Yeah. So on
15 out
average,
of
yeah.
30, yeah.
Would you spend your money to see this on digital?
No, absolutely not.
No, me neither. If it was,
It's not funny enough. It's not bad. It's not bad enough to be funny to rewatch.
yeah,
And it's also just not memorable at all.
yeah, I think
To the
so.
point I was making notes while watching the film for this late, because I was thinking, this is actually, I just not remember anything to talk about because there's nothing
Yeah.
of substance.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to trip over myself and watch it again because I've forgotten everything that happened. It might have been good. And then okay.
You know, you'll see it on Netflix. Go, wow, there's an Uncharted movie. Oh my god! Wow, let's check this out. Oh my god, it's awful.
Tom Holland.
Where did Tom? I thought that was Spider-Man. And yeah, so I don't think this movie broke Tom Holland out of his Spider-Man
Not
traits.
at all.
He's really been bad picking his movies
So
recently.
so isn't there's like a Devil All the Time or something? What isn't there like a film?
Yeah,
I've heard he actually has some good acting in that. Because I said this before on the way home. I want to see him in some more mature roles.
Yeah.
I want him to actually show that he's not just a cute face or some funny.
Well, look at
dialogue.
Zendaya.
Exactly. So that's why I was looking forward to watching Euphoria. And don't get me wrong, No Way Home, he had some great acting beats, but I want to see him break out of this archetype that he seems to be getting casted for.
Yeah, it'd be nice. And I mean, like it just felt like you said, archetypes all around for the film. So yeah, we're gonna go into spoilers now, where we're probably gonna tear the film even further apart. But yeah, looking forward to it. Stick around if you haven't seen it, but if not, I will see you on the next one. Goodbye. Okay, welcome to the spoilers. So now we're going to go into everything about the movie that we remember, which is getting fewer and fewer as the minutes go on. So I'm glad we're doing this straight after, because if we did this like tomorrow or something,
No,
I legit would be like,
I would have erased it by then.
I know they
honestly.
had a scene with some boats, but that's kind of about it.
The boats may be the only thing I ever remember
Yeah.
from this film, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same. Right, so let's start with, we meet Nathan Drake he's a skilled bartender, actually.
Yeah, so
That's not where it
what-
started, is it?
Well, no, it started with this very much they showed an action scene at the start
yeah,
of
we'll come back to that.
Guess
Yeah.
how I got here, we'll come back to
Yeah,
that.
I thought they were going to I thought he was going to look at the camera and be like,
No,
So,
but
So
My name is
how
Nathan
did I
Drake.
get here?
How
but
did
that
I-
introduction scene really put me off just because of the
yeah, I was
just the
instantly-
all story, like it was very
Yeah.
silly. It was like,
I was
right,
like,
the
you
fact
didn't
that I'd
need to
already
do it.
seen that bit in the trailer
right,
as well.
had you.
I don't know why, but that kind of made me
But
feel
yeah,
no
him,
suspense to
him,
it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we start off with Nathan Drake as a for some reason absolute gymnast of a bartender
Yeah.
to the point where he's
He was like throwing it over his arms
yeah,
and
and
like,
then he's also an incredible thief, and that did catch me off guard a
Mm.
little bit because I thought, oh, he's just some charismatic bartender, and then he was, he had a marketing style from that woman. That was
Yeah.
that was fun to see. I didn't expect
yeah,
that.
that's true.
That's cool.
But then all that kind of charisma kind of just disappeared.
As
and-
soon as Mark Wahlberg
As soon as Mark Wahlberg
for some
appeared.
reason, Mark Wahlberg is in
Appeared.
this exact bar. He's not seen him the entire night, by the
No.
way.
No,
Nor has he ordered a drink or
No.
anything.
he only decided to turn up after it claimed.
He appeared in the bar and then
That is one thing about this. Everyone just teleports.
they disappeared.
All around the film, everyone just appears. Mark Wahlberg does it the worst. He just randomly
He does,
appears
he
in
does.
every scene. I'm like, how are you here?
Yeah, and there's a couple times I just had on the unit and I was like, where is he going? Where is he actually going? And then in the next scene, he's just in the right place. I'm like, my man's just gone for a subway, but he still turns up on set. Like, I don't understand.
You know they couldn't afford to keep him in the entire time, so it's just like, you're just here.
No, genuinely, because obviously
Paying him
Mark
per
Wahlberg is
minute.
quite a busy person, probably. It feels like they've just filmed him walking places, having like really random bad bits of dialogue, and then the finale.
Yeah, that's exactly how it feels like.
Because obviously the film is from Tom Holland's perspective, and then they kind of have characters coming in and out of his little scenes,
Yeah.
and then
That's it. Yeah.
that's how it's driven, but it's just not.
So yeah, originally for some reason Nate just really doesn't want to be in. Well, I guess it would have been a better film if he didn't, but
Yeah.
he really does not want to work with Mark Wahlberg. And Mark Wahlberg then steals his mark somehow.
Yeah. Which
How the fuck did he get in his pockets? I'm just thinking about that now. This man...
no, I did see.
Oh, did you?
So he was leaning over against something, you can see his hand. That's one of the things I was saying early on. So there's a couple
Right.
stealing films throughout it, and early on you can actually see out of focus on the background the characters stealing said things.
That's good.
But they do give up with that.
Oh.
They do give up with that.
I was
That's right,
gonna say,
yeah.
I remember that the first few times.
Yeah.
I said after that.
Which was nice to see because it's almost like, right, you're actually putting some talent to this supposed incredible thief and adventurer
Yeah.
who's a fucking joke.
Yeah. And then he somehow goes into he finds Mark's apartment. Goes in.
Well, that was also ridiculous. So he's been invited to his apartment.
Yeah.
So he just stole keys from a doorman.
Yeah.
Why would the doorman to an entire block
Yeah, that's
of
what I thought
flats
as well.
have the key to everyone's room?
I originally didn't realize it. I didn't think that it was Mark, so I thought he just stole the poor doorman's keys, and this doorman had all of these relics all
Yeah, I
around
thought
the
he was
thing.
just moving
Yeah.
into his apartment.
No,
I was like-
I thought he was walking into like an empty room to stay the night or something because I'm confused. It was like a normal like New York kind of annex block type
Yeah,
apartment thing with one of those weird kind of hat bell elevator type guards there, and he just somehow lets himself into Mark Wahlberg's flat. Well, the guy's obviously in bed.
Yeah.
Though he's made a drink for him anyway.
Yeah. A Shirley
Rather than
Temple.
just walking in and knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also noticed, like, because he doesn't actually care about money and stuff, but yeah, in the start he really does.
Yeah.
Like, because he takes his mark back from the
And that's all he cares about.
and then he's
then
like,
someone cares.
well, now I'm going to take this as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
It's like they're like, oh, in the games, Nathan Drake likes money.
Yeah.
So how about the start? We check this off the list, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden he turns into just a simpy soft boy.
Yeah. And then suddenly he's like stealing.
Because
It's
even
bad.
just his motivation for doing it in general, I think, is very, very lackluster.
Yeah.
Because obviously, he gives a reason, but it's nothing to do with the money, and it's very,
Yeah.
very soppy, and it's
Yeah.
not really elaborated on.
His turnaround from not wanting to do it to wanting to do it is so jarring.
It's so quick and
Yeah.
so meaning. He goes, I know Sam, and he's like, son of a
Yeah, I'm
bitch,
in."
I'm in. All right, I'll do it. I'm like, but he could be lying. Like, have you fact checked it? He's like,
He knows nothing
movie.
about it.
I also would love to know, like, so what? Has he not seen his brother since he ran out of
Yeah.
the orphanage? I would assume that man's dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
or at least I'd be really pissed off.
or
with
in
him.
prison, because like
Yeah.
he's literally. Also, can they explain why this young 13-year-old kid is breaking into buildings and stealing $1 million maps?
Yeah.
And he could go in the daytime and have a look at it. Why does he need it? He's not going to sell it, is he? He just wants it.
No, I think they will. Yeah, I'm going to say they want to sell it, but what you could do,
Yeah.
hide it in the orphanage.
Yeah, yeah.
But no one's going to think it's some kind of cursed
Yeah.
fucking Bible shit. Like,
So then, so he says, I don't know, I can't remember if it says yes first to doing the job or not, but then it goes back in time 15 years to a young Tom Holland and a young, well, the Sam actor stays the same.
yeah.
Who is seemingly around 12 or 14.
Yeah.
So in 15 years' time, he'd be almost 30.
Yeah, they're trying to tell us Tom Holland's 30.
But he's
Nah,
constantly
How old is-
referred to
how
as
old is
kid,
Tom
and
22, 23, I swear.
I think he's older than that.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google it
Let's,
now.
let's have a little Google because I thought Tom Holland was older.
Let's have a look. Tom Holland. This is where he's like 52.
Yeah,
Looks like 22.
how old is
I think
he?
he's 25.
This Wi-Fi is very slow.
It's atrocious here, isn't it?
25.
25, right.
Nice.
Thank you.
So, what, if we 15 years ago, could you believe that he's 10?
I could.
Round
about. Yeah.
Do you know what I
For a
mean?
child
Yeah,
actor,
okay,
I could
So it's
believe
yeah.
not
he's
awful,
10.
but I
Yeah,
think it's
that's
just
fine.
him and his brother are running around like Catwoman from Batman when
Yeah.
they're 10 years old with no explanation of or how they've got there. And attempting very poorly, may I add,
Yeah.
to steal something that's generally worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Why are they stealing in the first place? They
Yeah.
live in
Yeah,
a
no.
very nice orphanage, by the way.
Yeah.
They have better rooms than I do, and I pay a lot of money for these. Like,
That's very true.
you know, they've had his room, and he's just got all these cool things locked behind a glass case. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you're in a church
Yeah.
orphanage.
Yeah. What? Also, where did his fear of nuns come from?
Yeah, he lived with none.
Like, he lived with
Yeah.
nuns, and they didn't seem too scary.
No.
She seemed quite nice. She was like, go say your good. So, yeah, then they get arrested after just literally, they try to rob this map. They get caught, and then, like, they don't run or anything. They're just like,
Yeah, they stay there, and then obviously the police, when they come to the orphanage, mention that is it Sam, the brother?
Yeah.
This is like his third time being caught.
yeah. So he's not very good at it.
Well, no, but also like clearly he's got a history of doing this again. Where?
Mm.
Why? Where's this company? They
Yeah.
don't need the money.
Yeah. And then maybe they just do it for the thrill.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Well, movie. And then they have was the worst goodbye part of the film. The two young actors say their goodbyes, and I was like, just leave. And then we get this weird. So there's the lighter, and then he like lights up the paper, and it becomes a recurring thing throughout the film.
yeah,
I'm like, okay, fair enough.
I didn't
Okay.
hate that.
No, I was
But
like,
it's very.
but it's also films. Once you've seen at least maybe 2 films in your lifetime, it's very obvious when films set things up for future references
Yeah.
from the film. And the trope of obviously very common, we ordered it as kids, we write on the paper, and then the paper under it, or kind of meshes like that is kind of, I think, overdrawn out a little bit.
yeah, I think so. I think it was just their way of being like, and we can move the story
Yeah.
forward over there.
And also that that lighter was in packaging, right? Where
Yeah.
did the lighter come from?
I don't know. I didn't see him give. That's what when he had the
His
paper.
brother gave it to him.
No,
I didn't
did
see him
he?
give it. I didn't see him.
I didn't see him
I
hand
didn't
it
see him
over,
give
but
it
I
to
assumed
him.
it was from his brother.
But why was it packaged up there? Because he was about to jump out the window.
Yeah, he wasn't even gonna say goodbye.
No.
He was ready to just
He
go.
was going, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Oh shit, Alex,
Oh,
I've got to
shit.
deal with you, haven't I?" So he gives him his necklace, and for some reason there's a package lighter which he keeps with him his entire life. That's just on the bed. That cannot decide whether it's working or not for any moment during the film.
no.
Because you know, at the start, so he has this lighter at the start of the film when he's working in the bar, and I thought he was pretending.
Yeah,
Feels
so
like
did
friends
I.
like the
Yeah,
one.
I thought, oh, that's quite clever.
Yeah, they're generally quite clever, and then all of a sudden it's just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, it just
Which, to be fair, does happen with lighters. Like sometimes it's usually your own fault.
Yeah.
But I
He
like
does
like
rely on it working a lot.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it
Considering
never
it
does.
seems to not work quite often.
So then after that, we go back to modern day, and he's now fully on board with Sully,
Mm.
and they're casing out well, they don't really case it out. They sort of walk past the building, and I'm like, that's where we're going.
Yeah, and Mark makes these weird references, like he knows every single person's going to be there, but with no actual explanation. and then he gets frustrated when the kid interacts socially in ways that he shouldn't. But
Yeah.
like, you've not.
You haven't told him not
explained
to do it.
anything.
Yeah, he's just like, wear this, and it's like
It's
an
like you
earpiece
brought
in the
him to this
car.
family function and then got him
Yeah.
stuff that he doesn't know
He
anyone's
said,
name.
look like you blend in, and as soon as someone comes to talk to him, he's like, no, don't you dare talk to me.
Yeah, it looks like you blend in, and there's characters walking around with like white fucking ivory bone-looking hair.
Yeah.
At which point, Mark Wahlberg tells him not to talk to her, so he suspiciously
And
walks away. as he
suspiciously
approaches,
walks away.
Oh,
walks over to the thing that they're trying to steal,
Yeah.
and goes, "Oh my god!"
And then the
You
other
scared
villain.
Oh, there's
I
a-
wasn't
there's a-
planning to steal this.
There's a million other things in the room, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a look at this.
Yeah.
Really close.
After just talking to Sully, what is the name of the ivory-haired woman?
I'm not sure.
Oh, my God.
It was
I don't
Joe.
know.
He
Joe.
called him
her
Joe.
Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe's character.
She knows Sully wants it, right?
previously, Yeah.
So she knows Sully wants it. So she's just seen him walk away from Sully
Yeah.
over to the thing that
Yeah.
Sully wants. So
So she must always be suspicious. of
Yeah.
him.
Well, she is. She sends people
She-
to follow
yeah.
him and pay attention to him. But it's just like there's this a good maybe half-hour long scene at this auction after a really quick silly planning phase. It didn't really actually.
that
show
was
anything.
definitely just to show off Tom Holland's like body,
Abs.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
you know,
Abs
we
and
have
body,
this
yeah.
really,
Yeah,
really
when he's
Yeah,
just
when
doing
he's
the pull-up on the
weird
bed for
mini
no
training
reason.
montage and planning scene, and we're supposed to believe that this bartender in Buckfuck, New York, is built like a Spartan soldier.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, he goes to the gym like
Clearly.
mad,
But yeah, so they do this ridiculous planning phase, and nothing's actually.
and then they
making
don't
sense.
actually. He doesn't spell out the plan or
Well,
anything.
there
He's
is
just like
no plan.
no.
It's turn off the lights and
Yeah.
steam it. Like that's the sort of scene you expect to happen like Hawkeye out of nowhere.
Yeah.
People don't plan
Yeah,
that;
yeah.
they just do it. But it took days. It took days
Yeah,
to
it took
plan this. He doesn't even know whether anything is.
Yeah.
It's there.
Also, I don't know about you, but the cat thing, I haven't played the other game, so I don't know if Sully has a cat. It just felt really random. I get it for like an off the cuff joke,
Yeah,
Oh, it was
And
funny,
then I was
but
just
then
like,
it was funny.
but
yeah.
why?
But also like on a real like keeping a cat on a top floor apartment in downtown New York is also very, very cruel. Where's that cat gonna go?
Later, he's like, "Oh, I tried to use an app to get someone to feed it, and they haven't replied to my messages. The cat's starving to death. in the
It's
fucking
starving.
apartment in New
It's
York."
starving. It can't leave.
Yeah,
It's
no, to be
just-
fair, I think the comedy was right. Some
Yeah,
of it was-
some-
Yeah, no,
some
there was
jokes.
some fun.
Although some fell flat and then some, but for the most
Well,
part,
yeah,
they did.
it-
The Scottish guy consistently did
Yes,
make
but
me
I'm
laugh.
not quite sure if
If
it was
that-
funny in the way it was meant to be funny.
Yeah, that's true.
To be
Yeah.
fair, a lot of the humour was based off the Mark Wahlberg's old and
Yeah.
he doesn't know what he's doing.
And Nathan Drake's the bumbling idiot who doesn't
Yeah.
know what he's doing.
But yeah, so they're at this auction house. It's like there's a million things going on, all of which just don't need to be happening because their plan was to walk into the back room, turn off the power breaker, which after the days that spent researching, he didn't know how to do.
Yeah,
it.
oh
that
my
pissed me off
God,
so
that's so
much. All he
stupid.
had to do was get the lights out. He could have just like shot it
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
punched it.
No
or
guns.
flicked one button,
Yeah.
it would have all gone off.
Yeah, no.
And then obviously, Mark Wahlberg's character is talking. Sully is talking to Joe, and they know what's going on. They know that they all know she's here, and he makes a weird reference to how she's teamed up with the man who obviously wants to thing they're planning to steal the cross. But they don't really explain it or how she
No.
knows him or how she knows the man or anything. It's just like, all right,
I have no idea who she
I
is.
guess the
disposable.
implication was that she was part of his crew before
well, yeah. And,
when they
and-
tried to get it with his brother.
But
no,
then-
but she was shoot.
but then-
No, 'cause she betrayed.
yeah, 'cause she-
was that a
yes.
betrayal before?
Yeah.
Yes, because
Okay.
we find out what she
Not she
what
was
she did
already on the
later.
other team.
But obviously, for her to go and find the man that wants the cross proves that she's dedicating her entire life to finding this gold.
Yeah.
With again, we were given no motivation from her, or any reason, or who she
Yeah.
is,
Well, I didn't even know her name.
because the
So-
man that she's working with is doing it. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the
No,
money.
he's just
He's
doing.
doing it because he believes he has a right to it because of a family thing. And she's just there. She's just there to be a femme fatale in these scenes and
Yeah.
do nothing.
And it's a shame because she's actually one of the good characters.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
she
if
was
she had
enjoyable to
been
watch on screen. I think.
if she had been the standalone villain, I feel like maybe it could have perked the film up. If she
Rather
actually
than a
had, if
sidekick,
she had
yeah.
like the development that he had,
Yeah.
then I feel like it could have been a better villain, and
100%,
and
yeah.
I probably would have actually known her name and cared about
Yeah.
her. So then he fails to cut out the lights
And then
because
it
he's a
all goes
fucking
really bad.
idiot.
No, the next 10 minutes after that,
Were
I thought were
ridiculous.
atrocious.
Yeah, they were really bad.
Even the cinematography gave up.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is that if the original plan was to turn off the lights, even after he's been attacked, as soon as he gets attacked, he immediately gives up on turning the
Yeah,
lights
That's true. He
off.
doesn't even try. That would probably help him not be attacked. They're both quite.
Yeah.
So the people attacking him are both quite old, and they probably won't be able to see very far in the dark. So if he turned off the lights, he could probably get away quite easy. But no, he gives up. He then runs out of the building and onto this weird walkway, and then gets cornered, and then decides to make a distraction by jumping on the lights and swinging around for a bit.
And then, yeah, I just remember watching this. I was like, the cinematography is so bizarre because I literally cannot tell what's going on because the lights look so weird, and he's not moving, but everything else is moving. It's like, what did he think this was going to accomplish? You know what you should have done? I thought he was going to push them off the balcony. That would be a distraction.
Yeah.
Or maybe cut off one of the lights or
Yeah.
something. Oh, that means he has to have a weapon on him.
Yeah,
He can't
no,
do that.
and he
I don't know
can't
if you
shoot them.
saw up to the point that he jumped over the railings. He did a cool thing where he ran next to the railing. He sort of like flipped one leg over it, spun around. And flipped back over it. If he can do that, he can kick one of them off the balcony.
That's true.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
100%.
That was one of the
And
big
if he could do that,
inconsistencies.
he could get back off the lights.
Yeah. No, he was just hanging there. He was chilling. Also, so then Mark Wahlberg goes to steal the case, which, by the way, everyone knows who Sully is at this point.
Yeah, because he's been
And
bidding
no
the whole
one,
thing.
no one stops him.
Yeah, he was very obviously bidding.
And also, where the fuck did he get the coat from?
I believe. Oh no, Alex. So I believe he bids at what 3 to 4 million.
Mm.
So it's very obvious that he wants it, and you know that
Everyone really would have been watching
Joe
that.
would tell her boss who he is, and the men that are running around work for Joe, and I think a lot of people there seem to be on that. But yeah, his jacket it was inside out, so he'd previously got the uniform, but was wearing it as a suit shirt.
Right. Okay. That's
Yeah,
right.
so that's I did notice that he had that plan, but like, it was a small audience at this auction. But then about you guys, they were there for hours at this kind of mixer type thing. You pick up faces and think you don't fucking work here.
Yeah.
You do not work here. And then he walked up and was like, the boss wants to take it to the vault.
Okay, have it. I was like,
Oh,
It's like they've already got instructions. Sure,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
just follow.
yeah. I was
they
like,
literally just got given instructions. They said they take away the cross. You heard the auctioneer say that.
And he was like, well, not my problem anymore. There you go. And then there's this weird sort of scene with the villain and Mark Wahlberg, where they just sort of stand there, and then she pulls out these weird knives that she has.
They're awfully small and useless.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't have any
These
reach there.
silly curved little blades, and I'm just like, gun maybe anything.
Anything. At least Sophia later on in the film has a gun that she uses, and I'm like, thank you.
Well, she has a gun, but half the film she only uses the back end of it.
That's true. And then so Mark Wahlberg gets out because some security guards come and apprehend.
Well, they get fucked up, don't they?
They get fucked up, but they got fucked up quick. Like,
but then
if she sprinted down the hallway, she could
he
catch
still
up.
gets away.
Yeah, like he's slow walks.
This old man, this Zimmer frame, is slowly getting to his car, and this woman's just beating the shit out of these big old guards, and he's like,
with a knife, she's committing 3 counts of murder.
Yeah,
and everyone could
in
just
a basement, and later she leaves us to him in a Papa John's.
That's
So
true. Also, how Nathan got out of that, it was the just movie, because these guys were like, hey buddy, we're gonna need to talk to you. I was like, you literally just saw him fall from some lights. You're not gonna be like, hey man, let's just chat about this. They had their guns raised and everything, and they were like, we've got some questions for you. And I was like, oh, did they not have guns?
Your question.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. They were just useless. These security
Yeah.
guards. I was automatically thinking, I was like, to be fair, what actually can they do? They don't have any legal jurisdiction on it.
That's true.
So like, what are you going to do? What are
Yeah.
you going to do? You have to call the police.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he just sprints out, and then they seem to chase him, and then he just teleported
Yeah,
to
and he
Mark
just
Wahlberg's
teleports.
car.
Well, they seem to chase him, then all of a sudden, obviously, they're in the car, and he's angry at Mark Wahlberg for leaving him. And then, quite frankly, I went and got food out of my bag, and all of a sudden, they were in another country.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
So then where is it
Mr.
Barcelona?
Worldwide? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
This is the worst part of the film for me. Yeah. Because I just thought it was all really just unnecessary. like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're introduced to Sophie. Is it that her name?
Chloe.
Chloe, not Sophie. So when I said Sophia, I meant Chloe. And Chloe, none of them trust each other. Like none of them throughout the film. No one is willing to work together for anything.
What's even bizarre is so they've met up with Chloe, and she's automatically like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Why would you meet up in the first place?
Yeah.
She's clearly pre-contacted her to meet in
Well,
Barcelona.
she followed them from the airport. So she's seen that this guy's with her.
Just to make a scene and be a pick me girl, but like actually.
Although she did get the cross.
Yeah, she was.
She already had one.
No, the other one. She stole it, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe she was doing that. She just.
Yeah,
stole
maybe.
It. But that as well, I was just like, she was just like, because me and you said that we were like, how the fuck did she steal that? Like it was in his bag.
She literally just started.
And Mark Wahlberg stared at Chloe the entire time.
There's some dialogue going on, and Tom Holland's holding onto his bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on his back. Like a rucksack going fucking. We're going hiking in the Peak District type bag.
Yeah.
And her hands just faced through it and pulled out this cross.
Yeah.
It's quite big, man.
Yeah.
And she's not particularly got a lot of pockets on
She
her.
was pretty much on screen for that entire scene.
Yeah. And Mark Wahlberg was staring at her literally the entire scene. So I thought, oh, Tom Holland looked away, but then I was like, Mark Wahlberg would have seen her go.
All I can imagine is a cut scene of her just like going, yeah,
oh
nice
my God,
to
guys,
see you.
guys,
Pat him on the
what's
back.
Flying pigs.
Bring it in, man.
And then there's this bizarre chase scene that just
Bizarre
goes on
hardcore chase
way
scene.
too long.
Yeah.
Where he could definitely catch up. Like I could tell Tom Holland had to slow himself because he kept like getting really close and then suddenly he'd fall back.
Yeah. You're telling me that this bartender with a growing 6-pack struggled to catch up to this minute woman, just absolutely tiny. I don't know. I just don't believe it.
And then she made it to her car, and then instead of running over Nate, she really didn't want to work with them. She stops the car. It looks like I thought he was holding the car back because she was like she moved forward, and he was like, no.
Yeah. So they stop the car, and then he talks about how there's a bit of information about where the treasure might be, and it's not what they think it is because they thought it was at a tree, and they're like, it's not a tree. And I'm thinking, right, smart. And then he tells her it's in a fucking church.
Yeah.
Well, no one's in the way of the car.
Yeah.
She could have drove off, and I guarantee you, within an hour, figured out what church that was.
Yeah.
Because she would have gone through the book and seen the symbol and thought, right, let's have a look at churches.
Yeah.
But no, he tells us at a church and thinks, well, she needs more. She
Yeah.
needs more.
She's ready. And then
Ridiculous.
she's just like, fine. And then they work together kind of for like the next, and then they walk. This was the weird thing. So they go into the church and it's something they don't address. And then they all split up to go try and find this. And they're having midnight mass at like daytime.
No. So there was midnight mass. So they had to come back the next day.
Oh, right. Okay.
To walk around
Right.
and visit. Yeah, it was during the day.
And then they're all like looking around. And Nathan goes to this postcard rack and sees one that obviously his brother had. And then he goes, Sully, and then stops, and then I never know what he's thinking. I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, instantly I think, right, you clearly know more about my brother than you let on. Because I thought, because especially earlier, prior to that scene, Joe had mentioned to Mark, oh, like the cheek of you is that his brother? And I thought, oh, they already tried to get this far or something with his brother, and it's failed because it was odd that it's very odd that his brother had been to that church.
Yeah, because that's what they wouldn't have been there if they hadn't got the crosses.
That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't make any sense because the brother, later on in this film, seems to be some, omnipotent god that knows what all the treasure in the world is, despite his quote unquote death being at a point where they've only just got a book of information that he hasn't had any chance to read. So why has he been Mr. Worldwide to all the scenes in the film already?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I was just so, and then they randomly move a bench, and then he's like, he points to the floor.
There's this complicated, like, concrete puzzle that points like there.
It's
They
like
the other corner of the room.
And it's how they explain it as well. There's the door.
No, there's an arrow on it.
Yeah,
Pointing in the
pointing,
direction,
and they're like,
and he goes,
they must
you
be
go
the
around
crosses,
here,
okay.
around there, and then,
Oh my god, it's that way.
whoa.
And then, so they go down and they find where they're supposed to put one of the crosses, and then they ask Sully which way to go, and instead of Sully doing like the normal thing that any actual adventurer would be like, I don't know, he goes, anti-clockwise. They do it, and then some traps like spring
And
out.
then
I was like,
admits that he couldn't read it.
Sully is just a blumbering fool. He can't read a book.
yeah, I was like,
Tom Holland's character, by the way, for some reason knows Latin.
yeah,
That
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's translated this entire book that for some reason, not his brother, nor Sully, or anyone else has translated. That wasn't explained. Why is he some kind of linguistics expert?
yeah.
And so he's translated it onto these sticky fucking post-it notes, and Mark Wahlberg cannot read it.
Because he hasn't got his glasses. He literally said that, and I was like,
He
no,
didn't wear
way.
glasses at any point in the film,
film.
even when he was relaxing.
And then anyway, so they do it properly, and then there's this weird thing where Chloe's like, well, I'll go down then because they have to. One has to go up and one has to go down.
Just before that, they're asking for help to move it, and he makes some benign excuse because he can't.
Oh yeah.
push. Why is the man
Yeah.
disabled? He's just crippled.
But in the at least in the games, he is quite old. Like he is like
Yeah.
60, 70.
Right.
While Wahlberg's like 50. Like he's still pretty spry.
Yeah.
And this man gets everywhere else fine when he's off screen.
Yeah.
So
on screen, he's like the main villain, like running around some inhuman speed and strength. But on screen,
He's
like,
just this weak old man. He's like, yeah, I can't do that.
On screen, he's like me taking out the fucking bins, mate. He's making any
Yeah.
excuse he can not to touch
Gotta be
anything.
a budget thing.
Yeah, it has to
So
be,
when they
yeah.
say, one person has to go down into hell through the caves and drowning in
such
the
a
water,
weird-
and one of them has to walk through the street and go to Papa
Yeah.
John's.
See, what I didn't understand, right?
Because I thought I did the same as
because-
you.
So they showed this thing in Latin that said heaven or upstairs or whatever. So
Yeah.
we would assume that he was going up there.
Yeah,
No,
but that
no.
must have been the way out.
But that's not heaven. Like
But
what
it
was...
said one person goes to heaven, one person. That's what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
didn't make sense. The writing was just not very clear. Because me and you
Yeah.
were really confused why he was running around on the street like a fucking
Yeah,
journalist.
I was like, why is he left? And then there was some weird conflict between it because Mark was like, why have you why do you want to go with her so much? And I was like, well, they're both quite sprightly, then they might be more traps down there. It's perfectly reasonable to go down the haunted corridor with two.
Yep.
And then he was like, he was really offended by that. I was like,
was.
can you just not handle this? Like, what's up?
Well,
What's
yeah, so it's like they've tried to establish in some bits of dialogue that he has trust issues,
Mm.
but he's also incredibly soppy.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to show us this fucking almost war-torn, trust-issued, seasoned, hardened adventurer, well, you haven't done that, and you've
Yeah.
not shown that at all. He's just an asshole.
he is.
So-
He is just an
Because
arsehole.
I don't trust anyone. I have form attachments, and then he goes, "You're gonna go with that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like-
And also, did you guys catch that he had Tinder?
Yes, they
Yeah.
mentioned
Yeah.
it.
And I was like, I couldn't tell if that was
Unnecessary
an
reference.
unnecessary reference or just a
I
poor
thought
like
that having
product placement.
all the apps open joke was quite funny.
Yeah,
Maybe
until
Very,
not.
very true, isn't it? Going on your parents' phone, they do
Yeah.
have a million
Yeah.
apps open.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, "Oh, you have Tinder?" And I thought they were going to go with it, and they were just like, "Yeah, I do."
So,
Oh.
alright.
Okay, cool,
Like-
Thanks, mate.
fair enough. And then so they go into this crypt and they do this weird elaborate puzzle. And again, these two argue about which way to go, and I'm like, Nathan, you're new to this. She's quite seasoned. Let's just go her way.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
for some reason,
nope,
he's,
I'm going
he's
to
a
go.
child genius.
yeah,
I don't understand how this elaborate puzzle leads to a nightclub.
yeah. So they go through this like sewer system, which are all weird cabinet, and then they just
Yeah.
emerge at a nightclub.
They go
And
through a
for some
grate.
reason and go through a grate and then
In a
land in this
nightclub.
nightclub. And then they have this weird, it lasts for like 5 seconds. He's like, I can't dance. And she's like, well, we need to blend in. So they have this 10-second dance. And they're like,
But it isn't a dance
Anyway,
at
to the
all.
bar.
It isn't a dance at all.
he's just like jiving.
And then
he's like me
so
in a
they
nightclub.
take off their clothes and leave their bags on the floor, which probably has weapons or equipment or something useful. And they're like, right, let's blend into the crowd. And then set the fucking bar on fire.
Yeah.
So you blended in for a total of 10 seconds. And then go, oi, mate, I've got a sick idea. Let's set the entire bar on fire. I imagine you did that much.
And then he
And-
goes, "I'm gonna blend in."
Again.
And, stands at the front of the bar, the only man stood behind the bar, and serves someone a drink as loudly as he can. And the guy just spots him in the crowd and goes, "That's him."
I was like, what are you doing? And then there's this weird fight scene with like drinks and stuff going on.
It
while
was
she-
cool, though. I thought that was
Yeah,
quite
it was a
cool.
decent. That was probably one of the better choreographed. But I was like, it's,
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Everyone
When
would-
He drank the vodka.
Oh,
He
I'm
was
pretty
about
sure.
it out.
Yeah.
that
That
was
was
quite
quite cool. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then I did, yeah, that was my thought. I was like, can you do that? can I try?
Can, yeah.
I want to try it. That'd be fun. Flamethrower, man.
That's just-
And then she takes her sweet ass time getting through the thing. and then they eventually get through and they move through. And then what happens? They emerge into the urn room, right?
Yeah, so that they're in this weird kind of old Roman like store cupboard type thing. That's got 4 vases in it full of salt. But I'm guessing only one of the vases had the map in it. So what was the existence of the other one?
And I did think, I was like, if they didn't crack and break, how the fuck would they have found the map?
But they're not meant to, that's the point.
Well, yeah, but, you know, like, movie.
Yeah.
And also, there we go. So, sorry it cut off, but it reached its limit for like 30 minutes, so now we have to do it again, because this editing software is elite. Anyway, so we'll continue. So, where were we? Underwater,
they're in the nightclub, and then all of a sudden, Tom Holland and what was their name, Chloe, are trapped in some weird room, and it's filling up with all the water in Barcelona for some reason.
Yeah. The fountain drains. A fountain that I wouldn't have said was particularly.
No, it wasn't full.
No.
And it just kept coming. I was like,
and then the sea empties into
very complex machinery that was down
Yeah.
there.
For like the times,
that appears to have its own use.
that no one has found before.
No.
When they
Despite there being a drain.
Yeah.
And drains are made from a sewage system.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, how has no one found this? And also, this entire time, Mark Wahlberg was leant over the drain, just like crouched in the street. So I kept thinking someone was going to come and like, or Joe was going to come and like beat Mark Wahlberg to a goal. But no, he just stands there and shouts.
Then we're led to believe that a little bit of backstory on this adventure they're doing. All these contrived trials and tribulations they're going to were built, was it 18 men who didn't really trust each other, and they made all this thing. And there's this leap of, or kind of test of faith, where one member or whoever had to stand in this room full of water, and another member on the other side of the street, almost above ground, have to also put their second key in to stop it. But these people didn't have phones back then or any form of communicating, so they're just meant to know.
Yeah,
into that room.
Yeah, they're just supposed to guess. and also, Mark Wahlberg wasn't doing anything else. What took him so long? Like, he was shouting at the grate for a while. And
No. This was when they were in
Papa John's.
This was the Papa John's fight.
Scene. So he was there, and then he was
fighting Joe.
The keyhole was in the wall of a Papa John's.
Yeah.
Behind an almost bulletproof pane of glass.
If you got a chair and smashed a bit of glass in a Papa John's restaurant, tell me it didn't break, they spent too much money.
Yeah.
What are they protecting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, no one tried to stop it.
No,
Everyone
was
started
like,
attacking the wall.
If you saw an old man with a chest like the wall, would you A, film it, B, stop him,
That's true.
or C, watch him? I'm picking A and C.
That is true.
I think everyone ran away.
They did.
Everyone screamed, and then Joe comes in and just tries to kick his shit in. And it's the worst fight scene in the film, I think.
It's just the fact that the fighting's ridiculous. He's clumsy as fuck. For some reason, she is inept.
Yeah.
She's gone from being an incredibly acrobatic, brilliant fighter to losing to an old man.
Yeah.
And then she gets absolutely thrown at the glass wall.
Yeah. And smashes it.
Also, every 10 seconds as he's about to being choked to death, he says to Tom Holland, I'm going to take a bit longer.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
And he's like drowning at this point.
The choreography was awful because you can just tell that Mark Wahlberg's being incredibly gentle with her. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't look right.
No, yeah, I agree. And then I don't know about. Did you pick up that they used to be a thing? Because she kept being like, did you
yes.
And then it's never talked about ever again.
I picked them up on that at the mixer at the auction.
Oh right.
Just because of particular lines of dialogue. She's a lot younger than him, right?
Yeah.
Looks of it. That could be his daughter.
Yeah. Also, going back, Chloe and Nathan. I thought.
Chloe and Nathan.
I thought they were going to have some chemistry.
Well, that's why. Because Sully kept saying to Nate, don't fall for this, stop doing it. Almost like she was like tricking him by being an attractive woman. And then they did have this weird chemistry. And I quite frankly thought they were going to sleep together in the hotel scene.
Yeah.
He just kept looking.
He was looking. He was
looking.
And they were sharing a bed.
Yeah. So maybe they did.
Maybe they did. Maybe it's not a James Bond. We don't need to see it.
We don't need to see it.
And then the rest of the film is kind of like padding until they think, right, that's.
And then Chloe betrays them.
Yeah, let's have some ridiculous betrayal and plot twists where all the sides are getting shifted.
And she joined the other side for like 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes, and then some overly complicated equation, and then the brother knew everything all along.
Yeah.
He figured that everything out.
course.
He figured everything out. He left these little clues, and then let's go to another country.
Yeah.
There's probably
there's
some
the weird
Barcelona.
falling out between Sully and
Yes,
I thought was just really
ridiculous. So you find out that his brother is dead.
Yeah.
And that Joe had killed him,
Yeah.
right? And that Sully knew all along and didn't tell him. It's just like, oh.
Sully left him to die, and that's what.
Yes.
The look you gave me when Tom turned around and he said, "I'll come anyway."
Yeah, I was
finish
like,
my brother's,
what
my brother started. He's like, "All
The
right."
spoiler-free bit. I was like, his entire motivation
was just.
was, well, my brother couldn't do it.
Yeah.
What have you just been doing the past fucking...
Yeah, why are you suddenly now? What were you doing it for before?
Well, he promised that he'd kind of maybe went into his brother at some point.
Oh, right, yeah.
So at that point, he's telling him that he might as well die.
Yeah. And it was just like, because he was literally packing his bags ready to go home.
Yeah.
And then Sully was like, he didn't even really try and persuade him. He was just like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And he was like, no, this is how we're going to do it. And I was like,
Tom, where it's like, did you really just ask me that
Yeah.
right now?
Just one single tear.
So yeah, they had this weird falling out for like 10 minutes, and then literally straight after that scene, they're back to normal.
Yeah.
Like they're completely fine with each other, and they go on the plane.
And Sully just comes across as like borderline sociopathic during that scene, because I can't tell if this is the bad acting or the character. Just the way he delivered came across as someone who had just autism.
Yeah, the guy's screaming at him and crying, and then he just goes,
"It's like, do you know?
but I'll
anything?"
do it. Then he goes, but I'll do it for my brother. And he goes, well, all right then, come on.
It's like Tom's trying to give an okay performance, and Mark's just going, anyway, you want to have some gold? Like,
He's like looking through the script and just being like, gold. He's like, there's some, they wrote out like a really in-depth like explanation. And Mark was like, money.
It doesn't even have a script. It just says Wahlberg approaches and talks about gold.
Improvise. Getting to follow a script was too expensive. So yeah, then they sneak on the plane somehow in the boot of they get in the boot of the car.
How did they get in the boot?
I don't know
because that boot as well was guarded,
and also that car was being driven onto the thing. So I was like, how the fuck did I just?
So they get into the main.
They teleported into
I
the boot.
didn't think about that until you said that.
No,
Yeah,
that's really.
They teleported into the
They
boot.
teleported him, and then for some reason, there's about 5 guards, and they have a very game-like sneaky scene, which I thought was very like Metal Gear Solid-esque, maybe Uncharted.
Well,
I
they're
don't think
sneaking
the
around
games.
the crates
Where
and
it's like if you're
listening to the
2 seconds around the corner,
Yeah.
of security guards, they can't see or hear anything. And I was like, first of all, this looks ridiculous.
Oh yeah, the hangar's open at this point and no one's being sucked out. It's just it's just fine.
Also, didn't they, just before they got out of the boot, didn't they open it and start like shouting to each other really loudly while they're all walking around?
He was like, that was the worst 10 hours of my life.
Worst 10 hours of my life.
And they were just treated to this awful betrayal that they take seriously, where Joe kills her boss and everyone's clearly working with her, and there's no repercussions to this at all. Nor does anyone care. And it's like, all right. And then we're absolutely.
Also, can we just talk about Puss in Boots' speech?
An immense speech from Puss in Boots.
For my family.
I will bring honor back to my house.
Back to my house.
In the first remarkable Borat-like accent. My house, my family, my gold. To the point where I had to laugh.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, I think all 3 of us literally like.
Yeah.
And then so he's killed.
Bring back honor to my family.
Yeah. Literally. So yeah, he's dead. So his entire backstory was meaningless and done. And then they go out and do this weird action scene that leads to the
Start of the film.
To the start of the film. So we're back at the start of the film now.
With this, oh god, it was just awful. They're just why? They're in a fucking car falling from the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned tonight the way that the door flies off and she plummeting through the air in a car, instead of sitting in her seat in the hope that she'll survive the car hitting the water, she decides to stand up out of her seat, hold onto the roof, just so she can talk to Tom, who stood on the boom. She goes, mate, go off.
Follow me.
And then she just turns around and propels herself off like an Olympic diver.
Oh, because he was like, fancy a pie. Like, what are you doing?
and then Tom follows her, and proceeds to fall at like a huge speed, and hits this
collides
whole
with the crate
goes
in midair.
Well, and absolutely
Is
fine.
that the point where you and me turned to each other? Was that after the film? And we didn't say anything. We were like, "Oh, that fucking happened."
Yeah.
Also, like, just a little side note: why'd her South African accent just pop in and out?
Yeah. I thought that.
Non-stop it pop in and out.
Yeah.
No, she was
No,
not.
she was South
on a South African accent.
That's how bad it was. Yeah.
I thought it was weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fucking odd.
Yeah, so now Joe's got control of the plane, who somehow didn't die throughout the whole thing, despite both the door of the plane and the hangar being open. And they
And
could just
everything
hold on
being
to the
pulled out,
thing and
yeah.
just being, they were fine.
Yeah.
And the Scottish guy and all the key like villains that we
Well,
knew.
yeah, so we saw every single security guard go into the hangar. But all the security guards that are important just for some reason weren't there during that scene.
Yeah.
Because everyone else just disappeared.
Where did they land the plane? Because they approached the island by boat.
Yeah, can we don't talk about that because I also don't understand.
It's a very big
I
plane.
just don't understand why they were there to see Tom Holland on the boat. It makes
Yeah.
no sense at all. Where were they? Because by the looks of it, right, they were incredibly close.
Yeah.
They were not.
They
The
were-
map location they were given
Yeah.
was completely
It was
different.
in the Philippines.
left-hand side of
Yeah.
the island. He was going
the
to the
film
top.
has this complicated map.
They
scene
teleported.
where they figure out some other things, and they completely throw this scene out 5 minutes later because the villains, for some reason, in the next neighbouring
Yeah.
fucking island,
They
And-
should be thousands of miles away from where they're supposed to be.
literally incomprehensible how far they
And
should
she's
be.
also like just randomly so basically Tom Holland works out where he needs to go. There's also the scene with Nathan's original voice actor, which I
Yes.
thought that was quite
That was
nice.
cool.
That was
You could
quite
tell he
nice.
wasn't an actual
I
actor
can't
though,
remember
like
his
he
name.
stuck out
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
sore thumb. But
What's his name?
um,
It's not Troy Baker,
Nolan
is
North.
it?
I've got to say, no, it's not Troy Baker. I know
yeah, it's
Troy Baker.
Nolan North.
Yeah.
His
Troy
Baker's
Baker is in
best friend,
everything,
yeah.
though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
No, Nolan North's in a lot with Troy Baker, so they
Yeah,
work together.
so-
But yeah, Troy Baker actually voices Sam in the games.
Right, okay. Interesting.
Um,
so it's Sam in the games then?
Yeah, so
Right.
the fourth one, a lot older. So it like
Right,
comes
okay.
back. So maybe that's the sequel that they're planning. Anyway,
Oh, God, who knows?
so they do the hotel scene.
Sorry, sequel.
Yeah.
There's not
Let's
getting
not
a
talk
budget
about
for a
sequels,
sequel.
please.
You cannot convince me they're getting a budget for a sequel.
So yeah, they go to the hotel. They're sharing a room and they're working together as a team. I was like, cool, they're gonna bond and finish this together.
They're gonna fuck.
And I did think they were gonna fuck. No.
No.
They work it out by the callback to the paper with the lighter,
Yeah.
which he doesn't use Sam's lighter because it's just so
And it
shit.
also doesn't make sense why the entire message should just be on one postcard when he
Yeah.
has a Ziploc bag that he carries out of him everywhere. There's like 50
Which somehow
postcards in
didn't
it.
fall
At
out
least
his
3
pockets.
times he pulled that out of his back pocket.
Yes, and it's a huge Ziploc bag.
How was he doing any of his
And it did
parkour
not
with
fall
that
out
in his
when
My
they
man.
fell out
Yeah.
fell out an airplane.
My man
Did not
is
fall out.
shoving 15 years
Worth of
No,
postcards.
worth
Genuinely.
of postcard
The moment
up
I
his
noticed
arsehole
was,
like jelly beans, and yet they never fall out once.
the moment I noticed was when he was in the church looking at the postcards and he saw it and then he sort of lifted up his bag and he reached like down his pants and just pulled out this bag and then he unfolded it and it was about
starts
that,
going
it was
through
that
them all.
big.
He's having a little trip by memory
Size of
lane.
that book that you've got in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, so
but
eventually they work it out.
I just don't understand why only one postcard had the message on it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Movie.
Movie.
Because it probably had the most sentimental meaning to them. So
Well, tell me
yeah.
that.
no. And then he like keeps glancing at Chloe and then writes
yeah, I
down.
thought something was going to happen with
Yeah.
that because they kept kind of going in and out of focus
Yeah.
of the girl asleep on the bed.
And then, which was kind of creepy, low-key. Yeah, he's just staring at a girl. Anyway, so then he writes down the wrong coordinates and like sticks them on the table and tricks her because he doesn't trust. That was yeah.
Because I thought it was incredibly stupid of him to leave it on there. I
Yeah.
was thinking that when he did it, I was like, oh,
But the way he kept looking at her,
yeah.
Yeah.
who knows what she's
But and then all of a sudden, for some reason, every character that's ever been in the film, despite being sent to a completely different location, were just there,
Arrives
just
in the
there,
same
just
place.
all there.
And also, apart from Chloe, she's on to her own adventure now. She does not appear in the film again. Apart from randomly teleporting to the middle of the ocean at the very end. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later. And then, so where did
God, and then So he goes into this cave.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Joe sees all of this happening. I don't understand. Like, keep repeating that. He goes into this cave and finds two big fuck off ships. Now, does someone want to tell me, right? Let me describe the scene for you. So you got this big hole in the ceiling of this cave that kind of goes into this ocean, and then this tiny little hole that someone had to swim through. So how the fuck have these pirate ships got into this cave?
There is not a single entrance to that cave.
What have they done? Lift them up and drop them through the hole on the middle of this island?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they teleported like everything else.
Yeah, and then obviously they find the god. And Sully's there. Sully's there. Sully is just there because he was GPS tracking him in the middle of the Barcelonan Sea, or wherever the fuck they are, into this cave. And Tom Holland's phone also still has charge.
He was there
before
Tom Holland.
So how's he tracked his GPS?
Also, Tom immediately before, and I know this always happens in film, but immediately before going into the cave, puts his specially placed Sony phone in his back pocket and dives into the water.
Yes. Yeah. And also he knows that he's being followed, and he left his boat practically in the doorway of the cave as a hello.
Yeah, they would have gone into that cave, looked around, gone, "There's nothing here," and walked out. But no, there's a fucking speedboat
with no Nathan on it. So anyway, then they find the gold, and then Joe blows open the cave without causing an avalanche.
They blow open the entire entranceway.
Somehow.
How the fuck, right, would they know to go into that bit as well?
Yeah. But I don't know. It's like what it's like. It's like they mined with like a pickaxe with the time that they were having the conversation. Anyway, so they found the gold and they hide it under like some desk or something.
Yeah.
And Joe orders them to like try and find them, and they look around the boat, and then the Scottish guy comes out and goes, "No, they're not here." And I'm like, "Well, where the fuck else could they be? You've just seen him come in here."
We are treated to the most Disney magical scene I've ever seen in a film. So Joe's brilliant idea is not to sail the boat out of the hole you just blown up.
There was an actual way out.
Yeah, that actual way out you just created, because for some reason you have some incredibly strong explosives that can blow up these caves. Anyway, they're going to fly out. Like the Flying fucking Dutchman fighting cabin, they're going to fly out these massive boats full of gold and herbs and spices that are fucking heavy.
They want to... Right. 10 minutes earlier, she said to her men before they went to look for Nathan and if you put a hole in this boat, I'll put a hole in you. Immediately proceeds to grab giant claws onto a boat and lift it miles into the air.
But we literally said, so this was the scene that me and you called, because me and Ellis were talking. I was like, I bet they're going to fly out on some plane or something.
We were joking. We're like, oh, how? Because basically, as Tom was going in, I just turned around and was like, actually, how are they planning on getting the gold home and out of this? And I thought, oh, they're going to fly away as a flying boat. As a fucking joke. As a literal, this is so ridiculous, this is so dumb. And then all of a sudden, the next half hour of the scene is spent like a fucking Star Wars space battle with these two military-grade helicopters carrying these really heavy pirate ships.
I was thinking those helicopters are not that big.
Yeah, they are not.
Well, they're not that strong.
No.
And these ships are heavy, man.
And then Sully and Nate have a proper like team up after Nate rips into him for a little bit, and then they're all friends, and then they go out and have this really long drawn out fight scene on the boats. That was just and there was literally a scene where the other side, so Joe's side, got harpooned it onto the other boat, and then swung on like a proper pirate boarding. I was like, no, what is happening?
It was very camp and very silly.
Yeah, it was. It just didn't fit the rest of the movie. Like it felt like the rest of the movie was trying to do realism. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And then at this point they were like, fuck it. Just ships.
And then again, no one brought a gun with them bar Joe's team, so Tom Holland decides to use a cannonball to blow up a fucking helicopter.
Which was really weird because he like lit it with the lighter that never works. And then the pilot the Scottish guy like looked like he was looking in anticipation at the cannon, and I was like,
doing anything.
There is no fucking way that you legit just saw what Tom Holland just did. Like you did not see him just like that. You were like, and then he dies. And then Joe's like, if I don't win, no one can.
So she anchors the boat which I don't know about you. I feel like they could have done something about that. They could have done something about that.
It just flies upwards.
Yeah, just done something about
would
that.
lift up.
Yeah.
But no, that was the end of the world. Apparently, the boat's done for.
And then
we're treated to the most cliche ever scene, which makes no sense. Where Sully has to choose between a bag of gold or this new sun-like figure he's known for practically a week. He didn't need to drop the bag of gold. He could have what? You know what? Got a gun or done anything. Because Tom Wright is here. Sully's here on the helicopter, and he's like, "Oh, I need to grab you." But for some reason, dropping the bag of gold was necessary for that.
It's quite heavy. You could have picked that one little bit, chucked it out,
or just dropped it and picked up Tom.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do? Worst case, she stabs him in the leg with this tiny tiny bladed knife. Like,
also, she. It was like he was conflicted about it for a while, and I was like, so this is what I mean by lack of character development. He was struggling to decide. He was like, he was smiling like he was like, this is my paycheck, and then turned to go, and I was like, and Nate was like, please help me.
It was funny, but we're led to believe that. So during this sequence where Tom is being lifted by another man, trying to run away from a woman and climbing. He thought it was a smart idea to have solid bars of fucking gold on him. You know how heavy that shit is?
When he grabbed his hand and pulled him onto the helicopter, he must have gone, holy fucking shit, what is that?
What have you eaten? Like...
And then the boat falls from the helicopter without crashing the helicopter. And the boat falls on Joe, and I assume she's dead.
But they didn't show us.
They didn't show us.
And also, they can reuse her character.
A boat to fall on water, she was in the water. She's fine.
Yeah, she's probably fine. And then
I
legit thought for a second that the boat was going to be fine.
You think?
Not if the boat hits you.
No, if you're in the water and you go down for a second, the velocity of the boat will automatically be stopped once it hits the water.
Yeah, if she went down, but she just stared at it.
She just bobbed up.
She did just stare at it.
She could have dived down and hit it, and she would have been fine. Or just breaststroked a couple of centimeters to the left.
But no, she was like, well, dead.
Or use these teleportation powers
that
everyone else has in the film.
And then the boat sail somehow came undone and had this majestic scene of sailing
for 30 seconds. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That's just me roaming about, which makes no sense because I'd go down and get the fucking
that's
gold.
what I thought. I thought that's what, and then
it falls apart. You could get a diving team. I was not thinking when it was sinking.
Because that's what
it's much more accessible now than it was before.
I would go back and get it, and then he makes some ridiculous thing about how it belongs to the people of what country was it?
Philippines.
The Philippines, right? You're a pirate. Since when have you given a shit?
You're in a military grade helicopter, buddy. That's just a small boat.
Since
Pick
when
them
have
up.
you cared about what anyone? Also, the boat they panned to was the boat that Joe was dropping off, right?
Yeah.
And so they clearly had a previous deal with Joe. Yeah. The writing in this.
And then they flew off for a bit and had a nice little moment talking about how great it was. And then somehow they just flew over thingy.
Who's meant to be
Chloe, who's in a whole different country. But she's just saying, she looks up and she goes,
in a bikini, just chilling.
She looks up and goes, bastards. I'm like, you'd be pissed.
And then we find out that his brother's alive.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Go watch the second film, I guess.
Yeah. And then the end credit scene is the most sequel bait. So they just added this random character who we have no idea who he is with like an eye patch.
Yeah.
And is like,
who's a bad eye patch, but I could see his eye.
Yeah.
And it was like here, it didn't fit his eye.
And then they have a weird 3 guys pull a gun out on Nate, and it's like a betrayal. And then Sully walks in with a gun, one gun, and it's just Sully. He's got a mustache now, like the games.
These men don't have guns in the next shot, by the way.
And then they're all just like, fuck.
So they're all holding guns up. Pan to the next shot, the guns are gone.
Yeah, and they're all standing in. I'm like, you can just turn around and go.
Yes, a man with a mustache and a
revolver
and a cat in his backpack that isn't shut. The cat is poking its head around.
That's Puss in Boots.
Yeah, it is Puss in Boots.
We're reviving the role.
Come back to save his family.
And then, we have Uncharted 2, which I really hope does not happen.
Well, I just get the funding for it.
I don't know. Apparently it's done all right.
I would love to know how well it's done.
Yeah, I think it's done okay, sadly.
Bombed.
It might have. Maybe it's done better like now. But I can see
something bombed. It might not be Uncharted, actually.
But yeah, so... we didn't talk about how Puss in Boots had a really weird backstory with his dad.
Yeah,
He was so irrelevant
so
we forgot
the
it.
dad, right? So they're a very rich family, and Puss in Boots believes that their entire family is owed to this gold because of the betrayal that happened in some convoluted history. But so randomly, the dad is on his deathbed. This man is old. This man's shooting dust,
Yeah.
right? And he's gone, oh, we're going to give away all the family's money because it's blood money. And they never explain how it's blood
No.
money either.
No.
And it just makes no.
And then
fucking
his
no
son
sense.
just kills him.
His dad
And
does
then
just
that
kill
is
him,
his
yeah.
backstory and his motivation. So
Hmm.
I'm glad he died. But yeah, so that is our review of Uncharted. I'm sticking with my 4. Any of you changing your ratings now that you've
Oh,
spoken
it
about
has been under a 5 now that I've gone through.
Yeah, now you've thought about it. Sticking with 5? Sticking with average. Well, yeah, there we have it. So thank you for joining me, boys. Next one we'll do is Batman, which I hope is a little bit better. We're going midnight screening, so that will be
Yeah, so
definitely fun.
too tired to talk
Yeah,
about
I will also definitely be drunk.
Oh, yeah. Oh god, it'll be like 3 o'clock when we come back.
Yeah, should we leave that?
Yeah, we'll
Let's
probably
just
remember.
Let's just do a drunk.
That'll be so funny. Yeah.
No,
Well,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not?
that will be the next review that comes out. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I will see you all in the next one. We did not like this film. I highly recommend you don't go see it. Wait for it to come out on like Netflix because I'm sure it will. But yeah,
it'd be the kind of thing that will come up on a Netflix.
Yeah,
Totally
I mean,
age in 3 years, and you
yeah,
go,
it'd be the kind of thing
"Oh,
you chuck
they
on
made
the
an
back time while having
Uncharted.
a shag and think, oh, that was a film.
Yeah,
It didn't
that
watch
was fun.
anything. That was a film.
Oh, he's got the gold now. That's
Yeah,
nice.
oh, that's oh, you're doing well, huh?
Yeah. Look at those boats. Anyway,
No, it's fine. Are we watching Disney?
I bet it'll be on Disney Plus, although Sony hates it. I don't know.
it felt
Anyway.
like a Disney film.
It did, yeah. Stay noisy, and we will see you on the next review. Goodbye. Thank you.